This is an NBC News Now special presentation, sponsored by Aura. This is digital parenting, raising the AI generation. Here now, Kate Snow and Savannah Sellers.
Hello and welcome to our town hall on parenting in the digital world. We're coming to you from Studio 8H here at Rockefeller Center.
That is right. Over the next hour, we are going to explore how families are navigating the AI age.
Technology is changing faster than kids and parents can keep up, right? It can be overwhelming. We're going to speak with leading experts today about how all of it affects our families, what conversations we need to have with each other.
And we have our audience here. It's filled with parents, teachers, and kids who will be asking their questions right to our panelists.
Before we get going, we want to thank our sponsor, Aura, the creators behind Digital Parenthood, an online resource that brings experts together to provide support to parents raising children in this often challenging and confusing digital environment.
We're going to get started with the results of our new survey on families' attitudes about AI. Here's CNBC's Julia Borston.
As generative AI has burst onto the scene with the introduction of ChatGPT and a wide range of competing chatbots, it's being used by companies and consumers in a range of ways. But new technology like this doesn't come without risks. Even the CEO of Microsoft has his concerns.
One of the existential risks people talk about in AI is, what if AI is so powerful that it's not in human control? That obviously is an existential issue for us.
And as parents grapple with how to monitor their children's use of mobile devices, the internet, and social media, now they're also forced to figure out how AI could impact their kids.
If unchecked AI is just going to go the same way that social media is gone, it's just going to be disaster, only on a larger scale.
Parents are worried. In a CNBC survey conducted with Generation Lab, 3/4 of parents say they are somewhat or extremely concerned about AI's impact on their kids. And the new technology is still foreign for most families. 56% say their families rarely or never use AI tools, while 34% use them a couple of times per week.
I think it's important that parents realize how our addiction to media and smartphones and social media and AI is creating a chaotic, unhealthy information environment for their kids.
While artificial intelligence brings risks for parents to consider, new technology also offers opportunity, including new apps that use AI to assist parents. One of them, called Ojai, is an AI-powered scheduling assistant to help families manage their household calendar, to-do lists, and keep up on school emails. The CEO and founder of advocacy group Moms First, Reshma Sojani, created an AI-powered tool to help families understand their paid leave eligibility, to prevent parents from unnecessarily rushing back to work after a baby is born.
There are risk and safety concerns with AI that parents need to be concerned with. But it's also not going anywhere. So I'm really encouraging people to think about aspirational AI. How can AI be used to make the world a better place? How can AI be used to put money in the hands of parents?
For now, parents are split on the question of whether AI is a force for good. Our survey found 51% of parents think there are more risks associated with the technology, while 49% believe there are more benefits.
To talk more about artificial intelligence and its impact on digital parenting, let's bring in our experts now. Sinead Bovell is a futurist, entrepreneur, and the founder of tech education company Way, spelled W-A-Y-E. Dr. Jenny Radeski is here. She's a media researcher and the director of developmental behavioral pediatrics at the University of Michigan Medical School. Also with us is Merv Lapus. He is the vice president of outreach and engagement at the nonprofit organization Common Sense Media.
Great to have you all with us. Thank you so much for joining for such an important conversation. Sinead, I'll start with you because in surveying our audience and surveying families on this, we just really kind of wanted to get a baseline understanding of what do people want to know. And a lot of people actually said very simply and very honestly, just, I need to know everything. So let's just kind of start with the basics because we hear a lot of different terms. Generative AI. I liked one we just heard there, aspirational AI. What does this all mean?
Right, so there are many different types of AI systems that parents and kids would be interacting with. So generative AI would be AI systems that can generate new content that's in many ways indistinguishable from human-generated content. So whether that's text-based things like a story or an essay, that could be music, that could be different audio sounds or short video clips. But then there's also AI like recommendation algorithms. So these are AI systems that recommend you content, whether you're streaming something on a streaming platform or you're on social media, AI systems that make decisions about you and what they want to show you. And then you have things like natural language processing. So if there's an Amazon Alexa in your house or you're using a Siri, these are AI systems that help process and understand human language and interact back with you.
People keep saying generative AI. That's the one that's sort of almost thinking on its own or learning as it goes. Is that right?
They all kind of learn on the fly, but with generative AI, why it's actually gone so viral is because these AI systems are so easy to use and to co-create with. The barrier to working with a system like ChatGPT is natural language. You ask it a question the same way you would ask a friend in a group chat, and that's why it's just kind of taken off. But AI has been all around us. People say AI is coming. AI is here, and it's been here for almost half a decade in our daily lives.
Fair point. Dr. Radesky, you study kind of the intersection between technology and development, human development. So what are your concerns from that standpoint about the way children are developing with AI integrated into everyday life?
Yeah, and there's a few concerns. One is with the automated decision making. So kids are interacting with automated recommendation feeds on so many different platforms. It's kind of taking away some of the decision making and recommending things that sometimes are meeting the needs of the platform. So we just published a study last week showing that on a very popular video sharing platform, if you type in things that are very popular with a 6-year-old or an 8-year-old, like Roblox, you wind up getting this whole recommendations feed filled with things competing for your attention. Things that are sexy and dramatic and violent and kind of over the top. And that's because that algorithm is optimized for engagement, click-throughs and viewing.
Clickbait.
It's not optimized for children's well-being. So it really matters how you're training that algorithm and who's checking in to make sure it's serving kids the right things. The other concern is with, only being able to chat through language with a platform. Kids have very different ways that they conceptualize these artificial agents. I once asked my 6-year-old who Siri was, and he said, she's a nice woman who lives in California who answers our questions, okay? Like, they really think that these things are alive. When they've done studies on kids and robots or virtual assistants, they think very differently and they trust.
Because developmentally, they're not there yet.
Exactly.
But that definitely brings up concerns about your emotional attachment that can start to be there, especially with younger people. Merv, I know that you work with people in different types of positions of leadership at schools across the country. Is there anything that can be being done on those campuses and classrooms to get ahead of some of these issues, maybe in a way that we didn't do so well with social media?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the past 2 years have been kind of the crux of that conversation for school administrators and district leadership, where they're, in hindsight, really looking at the effect of media and technology, but especially social media in the classroom and in their school communities. So there's been a lot of focus in really wanting to address kind of what is this and what does this look like in the classroom. And at first, we take it in with a real critical eye because obviously our kids spend the most time in school, and also this has implications then with instruction as well as the way that our kids are going to be learning. So we do want to make sure that we're kind of measuring it and getting a sense of, is this the same as when televisions and smart boards came in, or is it a little different? And the reality is districts currently right now are currently at the place where they're looking at two main things. One is AI literacy. So how do we really make sure that our educators know what generative AI is versus the other types of AI that are out there? And how are we providing instruction to our kids so that they are thinking critically, behaving safely, and really interacting more responsibly with the media and tech that they're providing them that access to? And then we're also looking at policy. Reality is most administrators and district leaders are still combating, like, what are the policies we're going to have in place? We're waiting on our local leadership, federal government, and others to help give us that guidance, when the reality is we already have policies in place around PII, personal identifiable information, where can it be shared, where can't it be shared, privacy, looking at responsible use of tech. But now we need to really then look at it through the lens of, because this generative AI allows us to do X, how does that field into our policies that we have in place and then impact our school communities?
Sinead, there are positive uses of AI, right? In the classroom, for example, I just shot a story that's going to air soon that's about something called Quill that teachers of English are using for reading and writing, and the AI can go so fast that the teacher is saved time because the AI is kind of helping teach the kids punctuation and grammar. What should parents be talking about now with their kids, and what should kids be talking about with their parents when it comes to AI? How do we start that conversation?
Yeah, I think, and it's a really important one. And I actually don't think there's an age that's too young to start this conversation, because AI is really all around them. So I think first and foremost, kids need to know that AI isn't your friend. It's a tool. And these systems are going to seem more and more human-like the more advanced and sophisticated they get. But a tool is very different than a human person. So a tool we use to answer our questions. It can be a creative partner. It can help us understand the world. But we don't divulge secrets to an AI system. And there's also things we do in our life that don't involve AI, that it's not appropriate to bring this tool. And we also, I think, want to get kids thinking about the decision AI makes about them. So if you're watching something on a streaming platform, ask, when you kind of explain an AI system has suggested this show to you, why do you think it made that decision? And the child, even if they're 4 or 5, might say, well, because we watched a show about, Finding Nemo, and so it makes sense that they're recommending another fish show. So getting kids to think critically about how and why artificial intelligence is making decisions about them. That's where I would recommend you start. And I don't think that there's an age that it's too young to have that sort of a conversation.
That's a really smart way to go about it. I want to tell everybody something kind of crazy, especially speaking of generative AI. All these images around the studio right now, they were created using AI, just to give you a little bit of an idea of how it can actually create content. And that's going to tie in to an audience question that we have from somebody who came here today. Hi there.
Hi, my name is Annabelle. So I'm 26, and I didn't grow up around this level of technology. So I'm just curious how kids today, growing up with and going to school around AI, will be taught how to differentiate between what's real and what isn't.
Oh, that is a great question.
Dr. Radesky, you want to take that?
So I really think starting at a young age, it's important to be talking to kids about what you're seeing on the screen. Who made that? Why did they make it? Did they make it to make us laugh, to tell us a good story, or to be rude to someone else, right? That's part of media literacy, is understanding who's behind the screen and who created that. That's step one. And then also talk about when you are seeing things on your favorite platforms, some of them are already created by AI. Can they spot that? Can they find, I'm sure there's ways to search for either songs or images that have been generated by AI. Take a look at those together with your kids. I say, sit down and listen to a song played by your favorite musical artist, and listen to a song made by AI. What sounds different? What is missing? Where's the human part that's really missing from what AI has generated? Ask AI to tell you a story. Ask your grandpa to tell you a story. What's the difference that's missing there? And I think that's one way to help teach kids a little bit of that difference.
It's really good.
I can add, and I think it's important to recognize this is the worst artificial intelligence will ever be. So right now we can maybe detect there might be 7 fingers, or maybe it has multicolored eyes or something. But going forward, we can't count on the human brain to beat a supercomputer. So instead, I think we need to teach kids to think critically about the entire information ecosystem, regardless of what content they come across. Who did share this content, as you had mentioned? What do you think the narrative was behind this content? And the flip side of that is teaching kids at a young age to be ethical AI users themselves. So when they use AI to write a story, that they sign their name, but also co-created by AI. We get them thinking about the ethics at a very young age, because these are the AI creators of the future. So get them to think critically about what they see, read, and create.
Is it even okay to use AI to help write your story? I mean, that's, as a parent, that's a question that I have.
I mean, I think that was the biggest fear when it came into education, was the academic integrity behind it all. But I think it's what are we measuring? What are we trying to measure in terms of what our kids are learning and what we hope to get out of that instructional value? And in many ways, if they do understand the flow of how to create a writing piece already, and we know we've done that, especially coming to high school level, then using AI to help you kind of give you a clean slate on something new where you're experiencing writer's block, you've saved hours of stress, and now you can actually work off of it now through my own words, right? Oh, I know what they got wrong here. Oh, this is actually false information. Let me correct that. And it actually can provide an opportunity for our kids to think more critically about the information they're receiving, and knowing that, okay, this is biased, this is actually not factual, here's the real information. Okay, now I get a sense of where I can actually add more value in a way that maybe I couldn't get 15 minutes ago.
Dr. Radesky, how does AI and what we're seeing intersect with mental health?
Well, AI is based on data, and whenever we put in a search term or ask a question or click on something or like something, that is data that reveals something about our psyche, right? It could reveal whether we don't like our body size and we're searching for, things that relate to diets and fitness. It may reveal that we're in a bad mood, or what our personality is, or how impulsive we are, that we click right away. All of this can profile us to a degree and understand some of our vulnerabilities. And that's what advocates have been really worried about, is that as a pediatrician, if I see a child, or as an educator, if you see a child who is struggling with some sort of vulnerability, you just want to help support them and grow and build some skills and have a really supportive environment around them. You don't want to take advantage of it. And that's what we're worried about, is that either an AI that doesn't know it's taking advantage of a child or sending them something wrong or false or manipulative, that can lead to worse outcomes for kids who are already struggling.
Yeah. I want to go to another audience question here in the room. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Hillary. I have a 15-year-old, a freshman in high school, so a parent question. How do we guide our teens in deciding how much to share online, and how do they understand their digital footprint and the long-standing impact of their digital footprint?
Merv, do you want to start with that?
Yeah, sure. So, that is a heavy cross to bear for parents. And I say that as a way of also for myself to remember, one, communication and conversation. These shouldn't be things we talk about only when things are bad. We should be talking about this daily. It should be active conversation so that when something does go awry or something feels uncomfortable, they know that they can come to you and you're not just going to kind of be either dismissive or overreact. That's actually the O section. But before then, there is the R, which is rings of responsibility. Have an active discussion that when you make a decision online, it affects you first. How does this affect you? How does this affect your friends and family? And how could this affect my entire community? Taking that pause and really taking stock of, do I really want this out there if it goes further than I intended, is something to really be thoughtful about. And then we're really then looking at how do we make sure that we're not overreacting? If oftentimes as a parent, the first thing you want to do is take them away or completely cut it off. In some cases, that is the thing to do, depending on the severity of it. But the reality is, if that's the only way you react and it's very punitive, then they'll always associate that kind of parenting or caregiving side of oh, I'm not going to talk to them about this. They just don't understand. And they're always taking it away. And then lastly is look for, unfortunately, some of the symptoms. The reality is online life and offline life are intermingling so much as part of just life. And so when things are going off a little bit online, you'll start to see that even in the physical space. And so being very thoughtful and just, genuinely wanting to get a sense of how are you feeling? How did this make you feel? What can I do? And not doing it in a way where you're trying to get them for something, but really be supportive in nature.
What a fantastic conversation and an incredible panel. Merv Lapus, Dr. Jenny Brodesky, and Sinead Bovell, thank you very much for joining us for such an important conversation.
NBC News, by the way, did reach out to OpenAI for a statement. A spokesperson said, "We care deeply about the safety of everyone who uses our tools, including young people, which is why we've built strong guardrails and safety measures into ChatGPT and DALL-E."
We also reached out to Roblox. A spokesperson told us they are committed to protecting children online. They said, "This is why we have a safety-first culture and continue to invest in robust tools and partnerships to keep kids safe on our platform." Parents can visit roblox.com/family center for helpful resources and tools. Well, another big topic for teens, how AI can impact relationships with their classmates and why parents should pay attention. We will dig into that up next.
This NBC News Now special town hall is sponsored by Aura, a leader in family online safety.
Welcome back. Over the past year, we've seen an explosion of what have become known as deep fakes, AI-generated videos and images online that have been edited. Well, now teens are finding their own real photos being altered in disturbing and offensive ways, often by classmates.
Yeah, NBC's Valerie Castro has a closer look at this growing problem.
15-year-old Stevie Hyder's memory of prom last year is no longer a happy one.
I can't look at the photo anymore.
Stevie's family says she was one of dozens of students at Richmond Burton High School in Illinois targeted by classmates who police say used artificial intelligence to create fake nudes. In Stevie's case, taking her face from this prom photo and swapping it onto a sexually explicit image. Students then texting the images around school.
And I asked them if they could just pull up the photo, and it was just immediately it felt nauseous and gross. Yeah, it's my face there, but that's not my body.
The school saying it is unable to discuss an ongoing investigation involving students. Stevie's mother, Stephanie, furious.
We shouldn't have to teach our girls to have to hide their prom photos. That's just ridiculous.
But increasingly, young people, usually girls, are at risk from their own peers using so-called nudification apps, with cases like Stevie's popping up all over the country. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children says it's seeing a spike in AI-related calls to its tip line.
Is this a situation where the law is trying to play catch up to this technology?
I think so. And I think that's something that we oftentimes see where technology moves so fast across all sectors of tech. The laws and legislation are continually having to catch up.
The law surrounding these AI-generated pictures is often murky because they aren't considered real, intimate images. Existing laws don't necessarily apply to them, though a few states have now passed legislation specifically to combat sexually explicit AI images of minors. And the FBI says child sexual abuse material created with content manipulation technologies to include generative artificial intelligence is illegal.
You want to see criminal charges? Absolutely. There absolutely should be criminal charges.
Some parenting advocates say what's needed is more focus on prevention and teaching kids how to use AI tools ethically. In Stevie's case, 2 minors were arrested, according to the state's attorney's office, charged with a total of 34 counts of child pornography. The impact on Stevie, ongoing, worried about what to do with this year's prom pictures.
Yeah, I'm definitely nervous for posting that. I just hope those don't end up on the news too.
Stevie trying to enjoy the authentic parts of her teenage years while living with a very real, artificially generated threat.
And Valerie Castro joins us now. Valerie, just incredible reporting. Gosh, it really hits you when you think she's worried to even just put prom pictures up.
Yeah, exactly.
I know that you spoke with parents and teens. What options do they have if they're targeted like this?
So if these images end up online, there's a great resource from the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. It's a free online tool called Take It Down, and it will assign a digital fingerprint to an image of a minor, a nude image, and it will send that digital fingerprint to the social media platforms that it partnered with, things like Facebook, TikTok, even OnlyFans, which is typically adult content. Those platforms can then search for the image using that digital fingerprint to take it down, and this will also apply to an AI-generated content as well.
Oh my goodness, it's heartbreaking, really, how much there is to worry about right now as you're a teenager growing up. Valerie Castro, really, thank you very much. Great reporting. Thank you, Kate.
All right, well, joining us to talk more about this and about technology and teens in general, family psychologist Jen Hartstein, who specializes in working with adolescents. And we have digital safety expert Adam Dodge. He's the creator of EndTab, a company that educates organizations and people about online safety. He's also the founder of the Tech Savvy Parent. Good to have both of you with us. I just want to start where you left off. I mean, this issue of deep fakes, Adam, I'll start with you. What do we do? I'm a parent. I don't know how to talk about this. What do we do?
Well, I think raising awareness about what these are, how they work. What AI has done is it's given our kids, their friends, and people who want to do them harm the ability to edit and create videos that they were never in, photos that they were never in. And so by having the conversation, first off, and letting them know, hey, as your parent, I'm aware of this technology. I know it's harmful. And having this conversation regularly can at least open up a dialogue and lets them know that you understand and you're there for them.
Dr. Jen, let's get into the nitty-gritty, though, of how we do that, right? Especially if a teenager doesn't want to talk about a picture or an image that might involve nudity. I mean, what do you say? Give us the words.
Give you the words. So, I mean, there's some steps before we get to the words, right? So the first thing is we want to just kind of ask the question, as Adam said, like, what do you know about this? Let's kind of understand knowledge base and lean in with curiosity. Don't lean in with anger, frustration, punitively, right? Which is really hard when you're already with judgment, right? It's so hard when you're already nervous. As adults in the lives of kids, we talk too much. So I recommend that everybody listen more, talk less.
I see the teenagers in the audience going like, yep.
I'm on your side, I promise. Talk, so listen more, talk less, and then start to ask things like, Tell me what you know. I'm really curious to understand what might be happening. Can you show me what you're looking at, right? If I know that I can approach you with that stuff without you being super judgmental and getting mad at me, I'm going to be more open to sharing it with you as a teenager. And that's, the truth is that you're learning about it at the same rate, probably more slowly than the teens are.
And then how do you, yes, it is good advice. How do you get kids on the right track to have a healthy relationship with this technology?
So I think that's part of the conversation, right? As you're all learning about it, I want to know more about, well, what are you doing with it? And what do you think is the right thing? Just the same way we would talk about how are you being engaged with your friends and how are you being engaged with social media. Those lessons that we've been kind of practicing up till now are the things we need to be continuing to discuss with AI because it is a little bit more unharnessed.
Adam, I'm going to read some statistics. I find some of these numbers just stunning. The number of deepfake videos online skyrocketing, up 550% in 2023 compared to 2019. But here's the big one, with pornography making up 98% of those videos. Tell us, especially like in the halls of a school and stuff like that, not necessarily some, we think a lot of political videos or something when we say deepfakes, but just among classmates, how is this being used for things like bullying with teens?
Yeah, make no mistake, deepfakes are about sexual violence. They're about sexualizing women and girls, like that, full stop. And the way it's being used to bully folks is by inserting them into videos, often pornographic, that they were never in fact in, or using, that's what deepfakes are. That's why most people have sort of negative connotations about deepfakes. But then with photos, you have undressing apps, which with the push of a button, you can make a non-explicit photo appear explicit. And because it's so easy to do, because these things are being marketed on social media platforms through targeted ads, it creates a legitimacy around them. And if we're not having these conversations in our schools, in our communities, then the first point of contact about this is going to be an algorithm instead of a trusted voice like a parent.
You just said marketed. Like you're saying that kids are seeing this stuff being pushed at them, like, hey, buy this app so that you can make a nude photo.
Yeah, and I think it's worth repeating. You just said it's a normal picture and you can take the clothes off someone.
Yeah, it's like Photoshop in your pocket. So you press a button and it digitally removes, using AI, digitally removes the clothing and makes it appear to be a hyper-realistic nude image. And the problem is, these are synthetic. They're not, in fact, real photos. But, and this is, I think, where parents can have a lot of agency, is by understanding the fact that even though the images aren't real, the harm is very real, right? Because no one cares that they're fake.
Well, Jen, so if you have a child that this has happened to, I want to ask you about both things. I want to ask you about you have a child who's accidentally had a photo made of them that they had no agency in. Also, on the flip side, what if you have the child who's making them?
Yes.
Who's creating these photos and sending them around?
Correct. So let's start with the kind of the kid that didn't ask for it and got it, right? So I don't want to call them victims because I really think that there is an empowerment opportunity to take back your identity and take back your space. But I am the person who didn't ask for this. And we have to be that, again, I'm going to go back to the idea that as a parent, I have to be that safe space so that if this happens, my child does not have to suffer in silence because they don't have to be embarrassed to come because my parent isn't going to approach me with judgment, right? So we want to be a safe space, an open space, and then, like the parents in Valerie's piece, what do we want to do about it? How do we get it taken down? How do we use those sites? How do we get any sort of protection for our child so it doesn't become something spread everywhere is kind of the first piece of that. And you might have to get them some professional help to get some additional support to talk through it. It's traumatic. Right? And when you're the bully, which is essentially what this is a new wave of, and a new, as you mentioned, a new kind of bullying, there are different psychological issues for the bully, and we have to be able to get them support. We all just get really mad and punitive, but there's a reason someone feels they have to act that way. I am not excusing behavior at all. Behavior is the thing that gets us into trouble. But what's the emotional component, the psychological component behind that? And if you know that you are the parent of a kid who's doing the bullying, you have to get them some help because this isn't probably the only time or the only place that that's happening, and they need to be able to talk to someone safely about it.
We did get some viewer questions from people who are not in the room but who will be watching this, who are interested in this. Here is one from a parent of a 16-year-old who asks, how can kids safely use technology while protecting their privacy? Because that's really, it's the balance here, right? How do you do it but do it safely? Adam, what do you say to that?
Well, so much about this is about privacy and about consent. Right? These images are being created, they're violating our privacy, and we're not giving anybody consent to do this. I think it's why people find them so, even though they know they're not real, they find them so distressing and awful because it really does violate our bodily autonomy. It violates our consent. We didn't give permission for that. And a lot about privacy, people are trafficking in our data all the time. We didn't give them permission to do that. So really centering permission and consent around this, having conversations about bodily autonomy that don't just include our physical bodies, but also include our images. And if someone's thinking about like creating these images, helping them understand how harmful this is and how it's such a violation of their privacy if you create an explicit nude of them.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Adam Dodge.
Dr. Jen Hartstein, thank you both very much. What a fascinating conversation.
Thank you. Well, up next, kids are facing a growing threat from predators online as well. We're going to dig into how to spot them, what to really look for, and how to stop them. Up next.
This NBC News Now special town hall is sponsored by Aura, a leader in family online safety.
Welcome back. Well, the threats young people face online are not only from their peers. FBI data reveals 500,000 predators are a daily threat to kids online. Also, sextortion. That's when a predator coerces a victim into sending nude images or performing other sexual acts and then uses it as blackmail. That's a growing threat targeting young people.
So how can parents help protect their children from online predators in this increasingly digital world? We're going to bring in a panel of experts. Farida Shahid is an internet safety expert who advises parents and caregivers. And Abigail Boccaccio, she is unit chief of the FBI's Child Exploitation Operational Unit. She's with us as well.
Thank you both so much for being here. Yes, welcome. Abby, let's start with you here because we really want to understand what it is that the FBI is seeing. Tell us about the threats that you're tracking and certainly tell us about what's new, what's changed.
Absolutely. I can tell you over the last 10 or 15 years, the threat landscape with what the FBI is seeing has shifted dramatically. It was very uncommon 10 to 15 years ago to have an individual who was targeted in a traditional sextortion case. That offender could have 200 to 300 victims. That was daunting at the time. Fast forward now to 2024, that is commonplace, both with traditional sextortion and with the financially motivated sextortions. So the reach that technology has given our offenders and the effect that they can have on so many of our children worldwide.
You make that distinction right there, like the one with financial.
Traditional and financial?
Exactly.
Yes.
Walk us through that, like the kind of traditional predator and then when somebody's actually being extorted for something like money, the difference in those threats.
Absolutely. So traditional sextortion is an older threat for the FBI, which we are still seeing active today. That typically involves an offender targeting a young female between the ages of 10 and 17, but I'll caution parents that any child can be a victim and that the FBI has seen children as young as 7 years old in traditional sextortion schemes. The offender coerces or tricks the child into producing content, and then that child is beholden to answer the offender's requests on that. And the motivation is purely to obtain more content, more sexually explicit imagery and videos of your children. That is the end game for traditional sextortion. Financially motivated sextortion, on the flip side, is the new trend that we've noticed since about 2001. And the scripts are very similar. However, the speed at which the extortion takes place, traditional sextortion can take place over months, if not years. Financially motivated sextortion can take place within 10 minutes. So while you're in the kitchen cooking dinner, your child can be targeted and victimized online.
Because it's someone asking for like a nude photo, for example, and then saying, I'm going to release this unless you pay me.
Absolutely. So the victimization happens very quickly. The offender obtains that explicit image of your child and then immediately moves to a script of extortion. If you don't send me money, it's a financially motivated prong. I will ruin your life. I will expose you to your friends, to your family, to law enforcement. I will make you believe that you are the subject, that you are the one that's at fault for producing the content. And oftentimes, even if you send money, they still release the images or you are now on the hook to provide more money.
Wow. Farida, how do you advise parents to navigate all of this?
Well, there's a lot of focus on technology and parental controls and parental monitoring, and that's great. But I always say the two focuses that you need to have is yourself, developing safe spaces in the household so that your kids can trust you, Kids who don't trust their parents, who can't talk to their parents, who feel that their parents are going to take away their devices or get angry at them, typically aren't going to want to open up if something happens. And so that's the first step for a parent, to be that safe space. So instead of focusing so much on how do I become an expert in the internet, how do you become an expert in your child and their experiences and relating to them?
Abby, what do you tell the families that come to the FBI for help when you're working on some of these? How can you actually help them?
Well, I'd say first and foremost, we want to assure the victims that they are victims, that the FBI will not prosecute them if they've been tricked or coerced into producing content. The second is that the FBI has very, very significant victim services component. And so sadly, as in the case with financially motivated sextortion, we've seen a huge uptick in suicide rates of minor male children. Because of that, we want to make sure we get the victim and the family members engaged with victim services immediately. And then we want to move into the investigation prong. We want to make sure we thoroughly investigate the crime that has been committed, and we work with the Department of Justice to prosecute that.
Yeah, it stuck with me that you said male, that a lot of the extortion victims are young boys or young men. For Rita, I know this is personal work for you. Can you tell us a little bit about why you got into this?
So I'm an avid online gamer. I've been gaming since I was 13 years old. And since I'm a girl gamer, there's a lot of focus on you when you're in chat rooms or when you're in voice calls. And so I've had my own experiences with a predator. And they're not really a predator to your child. Like as a kid, that's just my friend. And maybe I felt a little uncomfortable. Maybe I didn't understand what was happening. But I just felt like that was just my friend. And the moment that I felt that I was able to trust my mother and I wrote a book about this called I Think I'm Ready to Tell You Now. The moment I was able to trust her and to come to her and to know that, hey, she's not going to be judging me. She's not going to say like, oh my God, this is the worst thing in the world. I told you not to talk to predators online or strangers online. When I felt that safe space, I was able to open up to her. And then my background in cybersecurity awareness and threat intelligence taught me the side of what Abigail's doing in terms of what's actually going on in the tech world. And so those combination of experiences made me feel that this was what I wanted to do. And this is how I believe that parents can protect their kids online, is by focusing on how can we create that safe space and how do I learn more about my child's experience on the internet versus everybody's experience on the internet. What is your child doing? What do they like? What do they not like? And so I developed something called the SAFE method to keep kids safe online based off of that. So first is safe spaces. So that is therapy, that is safe spaces within yourself, self-regulation, being okay, developing a safe space for your child to come to you and know that you're not going to be mad at them if something happens. Accountability is if you say I'm not going to be mad, you're not mad, you're staying cool, calm, and collected. And when you mess up, because you absolutely will, you go and you apologize. The third one is fun. And that is developing a space where your child can have fun and talk to you about the good sides of the internet. If you're so focused on the bad, your child won't want to tell you about the bad, because then they're going to think that, oh, if I tell my parent more about the bad, then they're going to shut down the internet and they're not going to trust me. So developing spaces where your child can have fun with you, to play games with them, to ask them about what they like, share TikTok videos, whatever it is, just have fun. And predators don't like kids that are able to have fun with their parents on the internet. And empathy is developing a space where you can tell your child about your own experiences growing up. Even though you have not grown up in the digital age, you still have experiences that can help you talk to them about what they can do. So something happened in college, something happened in high school, you can say, well, a bully came to me and said this, and this is how I dealt with it. I understand how it feels. I don't know your space, but I understand how I did it, and this is how I did it. So just opening up, making them realize that you're a human being. Because, as a teen, you're like, oh, they're not human.
And thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your story with us about what happened.
Thank you. Well, look for the book as well. Abigail Boccaccio, thank you so much. For Rita Shahid, great to have both of you. So interesting.
Yeah, fascinating conversation. We really appreciate it. Still ahead, my conversation with kids and parents about how their families are grappling with AI and all this other technology. That's up next.
This NBC News Now special town hall is sponsored by Aura, a leader in family online safety.
Welcome back. We have heard a lot this hour from really engaged experts on the issues surrounding digital parenting.
Yeah, but we also do want to take a moment to hear from families about their everyday experience with screens, social media, and artificial intelligence. I recently sat down with a group of 3 parents and 4 teens, all of them meeting for the first time in this conversation. Here's our chat. This question is for everybody to answer, show of hands. That social media is a fairly constant topic of conversation in your house. If that's true, raise your hand. What type of role does tech and do screens play within your family?
It's like the obvious don'ts, like be careful what you post, like who you talk to on social media.
It's pretty honest in my household. Use it as like it's more of communication, if anything, but also know that there's a fakeness to it.
Like everyone in my family can track each other, so we always know where each other is. And a lot of people, I feel like my age, like very much don't like that because they think they don't want their parents seeing their every move. But I actually really like it because I'm tracking my parents.
Who else uses tracking within their family? Wow.
For me, as a dad, it's a case-by-case basis. My daughter didn't have any problems with the tracking mechanism, and she knows that I need to know where she is at all times.
I would not track my children, and I wouldn't let them track me. I want them to learn to be responsible independently on their own and to know that they're capable of doing that. My conversation is much more around that we're not having phones. I get a lot of, you're gonna need it in middle school, you're gonna need it in middle school. Not getting it in middle school. That's not happening. The same as social media. It's not happening under any circumstances, so the conversations are much more about why it's not happening and what my concerns are related to that.
I wasn't allowed to have social media until high school, and while I was in middle school and like seeing all of my friends on social media and a bunch of people active like all the time, like a part of me felt excluded, and I resented my parents for it because I was like, why aren't you letting me? Like, everybody's doing it. But once I finally got it in high school, like, I could not be more grateful for the fact that they didn't allow me to have it. I think that, like, my self-esteem, like, when I compare it to my friends or to people in my school is, like, way higher.
And you can remember moments, though, where you were angry about it in middle school.
Mm-hmm. It was really hard, especially as a kid trying to navigate middle school. I'm happy with where I am now, and I'm glad that they made that decision.
I have a 3rd grader, and she has friends that are on TikTok all the time, and then the number of times where it's like, well, I don't have friends because I'm not on TikTok, and they don't let me do this at recess because I'm not on TikTok and I don't know the dances, and it is hard.
It sounds like I'm hearing from each of these little anecdotes and even just the way that people are agreeing or kind of being like, yeah, I've been there. Is it fair to say that for each one of you, there has been some amount of tension at some point when it comes to screens, tech, social media?
Absolutely, especially with my my oldest. He's always loved his computer and his phone. And it has been when he's missed assignments or I'm like, hey, but it's 12 o'clock. Why is your light on in your room? And it's harmless, but it's also, you know, excessive.
Most of my classes have no technology in it at all. All on paper,
Really?
Is that public school?
Wow.
Well, yeah. No phones, like all your phones have to go to like the side of the class. You're not allowed them on you. I set limits for myself, 2 hours for social media. And that's really all I've set.
So 2 hours a day?
2 hours a day, yeah.
Which to some people might still sound like a lot. Does it feel like a lot?
To compare to my friends and everybody else and the school, it's not as much as...
It's not a lot.
No. I'm not allowed to have TikTok. I do have access to Instagram and Snapchat, and when I got social media at the beginning of high school, my parents sat me down and I had to sign a contract with rules about using social media, about keeping accounts private, telling them if I ever saw anything that upset me, about just like, again, like restricting myself with what I consume.
No TikTok. They have Instagram, Snapchat.
As a parent, how did you decide TikTok was the one?
I downloaded it and there was just a lot that I could see that we shouldn't be seeing.
One thing that my mom was like clear about when I got social media was like she wanted me to follow certain accounts. Like, she was like, the Today Show, you're following them. Upworthy, you're following them. New York Times, you're following them. One of her biggest things about TikTok and social media as a whole is like the misinformation that is spread. You know, kids see a 20-second video and they just think that that's what fact is. So that was like another kind of like added thing that she was like, it's important for you to be receiving the information posted by these reliable sources.
My mom had like a few requirements like she did. I had to follow her, I had to follow my aunt, and I had to follow my uncle. I have all my stories privated. It's not anything I hide. So I feel like my mom taught me like how to make good friends and how to stay private on social media so the whole world doesn't know everything about me, you know?
We would talk about how to be safe on it, always to keep your accounts private, what's acceptable to post. Like, the internet kind of never dies. Like, once it's up, it's up. Instagram, I got it pretty young. I would say like 6th grade, which is young, but my parents always followed me. And kind of like a big thing that they said is like, your aunts and uncles in your family follow you. Like, the person you intern under follows you. Like, are you okay with them seeing everything that you're posting?
And there's so much information out there via, technology that as a parent, discerning, because you don't know. There's a lot of negative and bad things out there, and we're just trying to protect them.
You have started toying around with ChatGPT.
Yes. Yeah, a bit. Not like for school as much, but it's cool with the new AI. If you ask it like to make an essay on like a random topic, it'll make an essay fairly quick. And it's like a good essay too. It's pretty impressive.
Debatable.
But
okay.
I mean, it's good for an AI.
Does your school allow that? That's the question, because a lot of schools don't, right?
No,
They're like,
no
they have
schools.
this,
I
right?
don't think any schools like allow it.
And the amount of kids that my teacher, bless his heart, caught this year, like it's crazy because these kids, the concept is fairly simple.
There's a point to writing an essay and to completing an assignment. It all leads you somewhere and it teaches you something. Like, I mean, that's why we're in school. And if you're using AI to complete this work, you're setting yourself up for failure.
At one point, I was like, write a poem for my grandmother, like using keywords, right? And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Just playing around with it because this is the future, y'all, right?
A lot of school districts that are now using it just because of the shortage of teachers. But Aaron, in your school district, do they use it in the classroom as well, or they just?
Some of the teachers and the staff in the district were researching it, like how they can use the AI to almost like better the curriculum and like see what they can add, and because AI could be helpful in some cases. So
it's not going
they're seeing how you can use it. It's not just bad as it can do your homework for you, but how can it like help you learn and stuff. So that's what they were looking at.
I think we should all be having really difficult conversations with ourselves and what we want, and to not say it's just here to stay. And so there has to be an element of saying like, let's maybe not wait.
Is enough enough?
It's
funny.
Yeah. The AI, it's good, but it's not there yet.
It's not.
It's not, but again.
But do we need it? Do you guys
How
feel like
badly
we
do
need
we
it?
really
You can still
need it?
influence
How
it.
badly do we really need
Do we
these
need it?
phones?
Yeah.
Like, how much happier we could actually be if we were just more connected with each other.
Do you monitor your own screen time in an effort to be a good example to your kids?
Yes, 100%. Because my model has always been, you learn by me doing, not by me saying. Love and just showing everything is an action word. So how I want to model behavior for you is to literally lead.
The whole with social media, and you just have to keep it under control. Whether you go outside first or do your homework first before social media, it's all up to you.
I feel like at the end of the day, your parents really just want what's best for you, and it's different. I mean, a lot of the way that you guys parent your children and that your parents parent you is different from the way that my family does it, but that's just because we're different.
Wow, what a conversation. All right, please join me in welcoming back our family panel. We have Jermaine, Sonia, Sanapsha, Sade, Jacqueline, Erin, and Abigail. All of you all came back.
I know,
So
and they put up with me for an hour first, and they still came.
That conversation was riveting to me when I watched it. Sade, what was your impression when you heard the teens in that conversation?
That the kids are all right.
Oh.
They really are just very mature, smart. well-trained, tiny humans, and I'm looking forward to what they do in this world.
That's pretty amazing. Banafsha, I understand that you've kind of been thinking since our conversation and have been doing things a little bit differently after talking to your mom. Is that right?
Yeah, I feel like lately, from what everyone, like the parents' opinion, we learned to like maybe turn off the phone maybe and just like talk more, especially because like with my brother, it's really just us playing games, and now we are able, like board games are more present in our household now.
Oh, that's nice.
That's really cool to hear.
Is there a certain time that you're protecting to talk to each other face to face?
Yeah, I think it's like almost like after dinner, because honestly, we both have work on like that piles onto our shoulders, but we do try to make it so we're able to do this. And I got to know a lot more about my brother.
Show of hands, who went home and had some deeper conversations with their family after that? Yeah, most of you, all of you. Okay. And Jermaine, you talked with other parents, I think, after that about social media, yeah?
Yes, yeah, I'm a part of the PTSO at my son's school, and I just kind of wanted to know what their thoughts were about AI. And knowing that our charter school, North Star Academy, we don't allow any cell phones doing instruction. They don't want kids to be distracted, things of that nature. So it is a little bit different, but after school, kids do have access because they got to catch the bus, things of that nature. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of get their opinions, and a lot of them, haven't really had a conversation, with their kids, and it was something that they weren't necessarily, familiar with, in terms of AI.
Jacqueline, still no tracking?
No.
I appreciate in the conversation how you just kept it real about what you're doing with your kids and how so far it's working.
I feel lucky that my kids are younger. I have the benefit of the experience that so many of these other children and parents have had. And to me, it's almost a no-brainer now. The science is here. Anxiety, depression, those are major concerns. Not to mention, especially, this is unfair, boys have their challenges, girls have their challenges, and from a self-esteem standpoint, I'm trying to hold strong. I reserve the right to say no. We all joked that that now we have proof when I caved on TV that I said they couldn't have one, but I'm sticking with it.
I like that you all kind of learned a little bit from each other, it feels like, so we feel glad about that.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time, really. Thank you for shining a light on what's really happening.
You guys are so great to come here for us twice, so we really appreciate it. Thank you for being part of this. Good to see you. And now we did reach out to TikTok for a statement. A spokesperson told us we continually listen to the experiences of teens and launched a global youth council to further strengthen our measures that make TikTok a safer platform. They also pointed to what they say are industry-leading safeguards to support teens, including age and time restrictions.
And we'll be right back with some final thoughts and important resources for families.
This NBC News Now special town hall is sponsored by Aura, a leader in family online safety.
We have covered a lot of ground here, and before we go, we want to make sure that parents have the resources that they need. Dr. Jenny Radesky's back with us. Thank you. So there was a survey, a new survey from our sponsor, Aura, that shows that 1 in 3 parents want more support in keeping their kids safe. Of course they do. For you, what are the top 3 takeaways for parents?
Well, number 1 is keep having curious conversations, right? One of the findings of that Common Sense Media Hope Lab study is that teens are going to chatbots because they're not judgmental. They can ask them questions and not feel judged. So that's a lesson for us as
parents are judgmental sometimes.
Is to do exactly what Dr. Jen had said, is listen more, talk less. So that's number 1, keep up the conversations. Number 2 is keep yourself informed. So watching programs like this, subscribing to the Common Sense Media newsletter at our AAP Center of Excellence on Social Media and Youth Mental Health. We have a question and answer portal where parents can just ask a question. So
what is it?
AAP.org/social media. Okay. So parents can subscribe to our newsletter. And then there's the Aura Digital Parenthood Hub also, which is going to have tons of resources from different organizations.
If you're a parent and you've been watching this and maybe you're feeling a little bit more scared and overwhelmed than you are informed, what's something that you think that they can just kind of hold on to know that they can get through this?
Well, number one, things are moving rapidly, so it's normal for you to feel like this is overwhelming. So partly just saying that out loud, don't feel guilty. You know best how to connect with your kids, right? And as we're facing this wave of AI, the most important thing is holding on to our humanity. So work with your kids on all that human stuff that helps us make meaning of life. I always say AI is really good at facts, not very good at meaning making. It's not very wise, right? And that's what we are as humans. So keep up those relationships and connections so you can teach your kids as they start to use AI how to do it in a humane way.
Dr. Radesky, thank you very, very much for being with us and for those important tips. We do also want to share some resources that are available to parents online. So to reiterate, our sponsor, Aura, just launched a new tool called Digital Parenthood. There you can read advice from experts, ask questions, and connect with other parents.
And again, the American Academy of Pediatrics Center of Excellence, Social Media and Youth Mental Health has a question and answer portal. You can use it to look through a whole library of questions asked by other parents, or you can ask a new question yourself.
There is also the Centers for Disease Control's Essentials for Parenting Teens. It has a whole video series, actually, on how to prepare your kids for the teen years and tips on how to manage their feelings and emotions.
It is important for parents to stay engaged. NBC has some great resources. You can go to today.com/parents for stories, tips, and trends. You can also watch my show, NBC News Daily. We do segments on modern parenting and mental health every single week. Savannah's show does it too, Morning News Now.
That's right.
We want to thank all of our correspondents and guests who contributed to such an important discussion, and to Aura for sponsoring this event, and to all of you here in the audience.
Yes, thank you.
I'm Kate Snow.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. We will continue to bring you stories like these on NBC News Now, which you can watch 24/7 wherever you stream. And for all of us here at NBC News, stay safe, stay well. Thank you very much for watching.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.